All right, welcome back. Yet again, roughly every 20 minutes, the internet starts to cut out. That's going to be fun, and I'm certainly going to be calling internet companies about that. We've had this issue in the past. It's been a while, but we have. So anyway, let's continue. I'm working on the top power piece, whatever it is, these little bits right here. And I was just wondering, like, how can I grab these and slide these all down? Because you notice these three bits here are 1, 2, 3, only within the top or the bottom two of these. This third one doesn't seem to have one up there. So I'm trying to think, how can I just grab these and pull them down so that I don't have to create more cuts? Unless maybe I can duplicate. Extrude, loop, cut, and slide, offset, edge slide, rotate. No, it doesn't seem to be any duplicate options. Separate, split, no. I don't want to do, well, I could do more loop cuts just because then I could just grab the whole loop and minus these sections and cut. So looks like that's what I'm going to have to do. Let me just knock that out real quick. So I need basically half here. So it needs to be basically 1, 2, 3. It needs to be right there, except I need gaps in the middle. So if that's one, then we'll cut a gap here, 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 here. Okay, that sounds like a good plan. Let's get with that. Oh, okay, that works. I like that. Okay, so that's exactly what I was wondering. It doesn't do a full loop. Okay, so 1, 2, put you in there. Okay, cool. So I was concerned that it would go all the way around. It did not. It did stop right there, which is exactly what I was hoping. Good. So I wonder, does that mean I can use the Alt click? Ah, yes I can, and it just grabs that. Except, okay, so this is one of them, 2, and then I need, no, something's not right there. That was one of them. So 1, 2, 1, 2, that would be one of them, and then that would be one of them. Dissolve. No. What happened? Why? Oh, okay. Okay, so that leaves me with these. All right, let's shift over to faces. We got 1. Oh, it didn't do all of them. I see what happened here. And then, hang on. Oh, I do see. Okay. So we got this one, and so we got 1, 2, trying to visualize it. This one can go, dissolve edges, so I got 1, 2, and then a third one, except I actually need to undo that. No, I do need to dissolve. This one needs to go, but I do need a new band actually right about there. Except, no. Okay, well I'm just going to, now that I know it'll do that, I need these to be a bit smaller. So let me dissolve that. Let me get knife cut here. So maybe there, and then dissolve that, and a new one. We'll put that a little bit farther down, like right there. Okay. And then this one, dissolve, and then put a new one right there. Yeah, that's roughly where it should be. And then you, and you are dissolved. And then one last cut, no, 2 cuts here. That's roughly equal, and then here to be at that last one, except maybe just a bit lower to be fairly equal with the other one. Okay, so now these three sections here are going to be this power section, these little bits you see up here, and then here, here, and here will be the glow we see here. All right, so that's pretty much my blade. I will just need to apply a texture onto that to give me that deep cut look there. I'm not going to make all those cuts because that would be very face intensive. And I got this bit up here on either side. That would be for that topmost power section, that glowy section. That is for this up here. All right, so, okay. No, I wanted that. Okay, so that seems to be the handle. Pretty well done. There's a bit of a taper on that handle piece, so it's not quite straight. Okay, so for that I would need to do vertexes wireframe to grab the backside, then grab these. Can I rotate this scene? Like, I know I can do that, but is there a way to like rotate, not rotate the model, but rotate the camera? Because that would make this a bunch easier to grab without grabbing the, well, I guess I could do that and then deselect those. No, I did not want to do that. Deselect that. Okay, so yes. Now, one concern I have is it's going to scale them differently because these are long rods. They're going to be different. Watch, I think this is going to completely fail. I want to scale in the y-axis. So we scale down. Yeah, see, that's exactly what I was concerned about. No, undo that. But I know if I start grabbing all of these, then that's not going to scale right either. So let me give that a try, and I don't think it's going to work, but can't hurt to try. Yeah, okay. See, that's just going to mess up the whole blade. So unfortunately right now I'm just going to have to leave that as is. Figure out some other way to work that. I should have, that's one of those things that you really need to do before you actually get to the cutting of it or adding in all the vertexes. So, well, this is my first attempt. Let's just keep on driving. I can play with it, fiddle with it later, maybe redo it, rebuild it. We'll see. So that is that. Let me come out of there. Now, for the blade. Oh, come on. Stop that. The blade is fairly simple. I just need two edges, thick edges on the sides. So bring these down to a point. And then I need to figure out how to get that in there. So that'll be a simple loop cut and then another loop cut. Pull that edge out and then pull that edge out. Relatively simple. So these are right at the blade. Let me get my angle here. Let's come into here and start working on that. Okay, so these will be pretty close to the blade. So we need one for the left and one for the right, and they're slightly offset. And then I need one for that blade, or one for that bevel, and one for this bevel. That looks okay right there. And then, of course, I need I don't really need it because that's going to be buried in the rock. So I don't need to model the tip of that. Saves you some faces. No, I was about to say something that wouldn't actually help. So, okay, let's get in here. I want to take these vertexes. I like working in the wireframe. I like being able to see all the way through what it's grabbing. Okay, so, all right, I want to go looking at it from that angle. See, I would love to be able to move this in that line. And I'm not sure how to do that. Maybe a snap. There we go. Snap during transform probably would be snap vertex. Okay. So let me see if that'll do what I'm wanting. Because then... No. Okay. See, snaps to vertex, but it doesn't like follow the vertex. Oh, and I just noticed something else. I am actually going to need another cut. Okay. Because that doesn't... no. Okay, see, now the snap's working against me. I don't want that. Undo. Snap increment. There we go. And what increment, though, is it snapping to? Because that's a huge increment. No. All right, turn snap off. Okay, so that's kind of a longer one. So that should be fine. No, I want it a bit farther. That should work. Okay, so now the only other thing that I could do on this would be rotate it to 0, which I'm not quite sure how I would do that and keep these together. I'm sure that there's a way you can lock these two models together. So let's Google it. After choosing the object you want to group together in collection, hold down the Shift key on your keyboard, selecting objects, group object. Oh, group objects, or yeah. Okay, so user interface, 3D viewport, selecting objects to be grouped. Okay. You decide Shift A, which is everything. Opens up the add menu. Expanding the mesh option. After choosing the object you want to group together in a collection, hold down the Shift key. Select the chosen option with the mouse button. If you want to select all the objects, just press A. Yep. Collection in the outliner, name Scene Collection. Moving to a collection. Move to collection. Okay. After selecting the required objects, right-click on one of the selected objects to open the context menu. Click on Move to Collection. Okay. New collection or selected collection. Start another collection. Give it a name. To make a new collection, Control G. Okay. New collection button. The outliner. I don't know what the outliner is. Transform. Okay. So that's not quite what I was wanting. I know how to put them in the same collection. I'm wanting to lock them together. Lock objects together, so that when I resize, rotate, or move, oh, it's called parent. Okay. It's a bit more specific than that. Just let me tell you here. Okay. Okay, there we go. Join selected objects. Parent one object to another. Child of constraints. Join. I'm not sure which one would be the better option. Not found. Okay. NG, not found. Okay. So, join and parent. What's the difference? Join versus parent. Basics. Apparently not too basic. Explain the conceptual difference between join of objects and a parenting of objects. Parenting can be thought of as a group of objects together. So if I want to create my favorite example, a room with a bed and a chest and drawers, I can parent everything to the room object for a while. I thought this was the only alternative to the union, which I understand will create a single mesh out of multiple meshes, which is kind of what I expected it would be. But I just came across a reference to join, and I'm kind of uncertain. Joins are different from parenting. Union, destroy. Parent the bed and chest of drawers to the room object. Now, if you change the size of the room, the other bed and chest change the same. Okay, so that's good. If you move the room to a place inside a house or other scene, the bed and chest will move as well. If you move the chest to a different position in the room, only the chest will move. Okay, parenting would be a good way to organize those objects. Parent in an animation. Join. Suppose you spend a lot of time modeling one drawer. You could duplicate it and join the drawer with the chest. That would give you one object to make texturing easier and simpler to move around the room. For the bed, you can model a couple planks of wood and join them together to actually build the frame and have the result be one object. Union. Your example probably isn't the best for union booleans, but I'll try. You can make a chest of drawers out of one solid block and fake the drawers by just adding textures. Later you decide you really want to model the drawers to show one open. Create a drawer sized block, duplicate it, and insert one block into the front of the chest. Union creates a new mesh at the intersection of the two objects. Select the new mesh, the intersection, and move it out of the way. You now have a hole for the drawer. Okay, the part you inserted in the chest is now the inside. You can texture it for added realism. Use a duplicate. Okay, so sounds like I would want, I could easily do join. Suppose you spend a lot of time one drawer, duplicate it, and join. No, with the chest. You give it one object to make texturing easier and simpler to move around the room. For now, I'm just going to go with the parent, just because then I can texture them all individually. So yeah, parent. And how then would you do parent? Can't quite get out of my head. Resulting mesh from a union of two objects is not all that different from a join. When I did my Control J, I went into edit. So parent. Control P, I think it said it was, right? Control P. Yeah, Control P, parent one to another. So let's come into model. Out of edit, I want to Control P. Set parent to object. Hang on. Control P. Keep transform inverse object. Keep transform without vertex. I just go with object. Okay. So now if I grab this and rotate, what will happen? The blade goes. And if I grab this and rotate, perfect. That is what I want. Okay. So rotation 0, 0, 0. Okay. Now that'll make my modeling easier in that I can move these angles on the coordinates and not have to worry about being funky angles. Okay, so let's continue. Wireframe, I want, hey, wire, no, stop with the dang cuts. Okay, so this one, no, not what I wanted. This should pull out a fair bit. G on Y, pull that out a good ways. Take you, pull you out, not quite so far. Oh, but I want it on the y-axis only. So like that, okay? Similar to that. And then you, I can pull out also on the y, except it's farther back. And this one doesn't pull out quite so far because it has somewhat of a curve there. Okay, come out of that, and that's what we got so far. Looks pretty good. Except I just realized I need to bevel. I need to bevel that. So how in the world would the cuts work on that? No, no, ooh. Oh, okay. So hang on, I got it. These need to come back in because I need to grab both of these. GY, pull you out. and pull you out like that. Okay, now both of you come out, and then you guys, GY, not quite so far to get a kind of a look. And then I can merge these to get the blade. Now, what was it doing? Oh, okay. So how we did that on the other sword was he grabbed all of these. I'm just going to experiment with these and scale. No, that would be bad. Okay, so I have to do each of them individually. Scale on the X. And, oh, what's going on there? No, hang on. Something's going bad there. Scale on the X. No, okay. So we do that and then scale on the X 0. There. Okay. And then I would need to do the same here. Scale X 0. Okay. Scale X. Whoa, wrong direction. 0. Okay. So we got to do this on all the vertexes on the way down. Scale X, come together, 0, and I have to do them individually, otherwise I won't get the sharp blade edge. Okay, refocus. Scale on X, bring them together, set 0. Okay, now we do the other edge on the way up. Scale X, bring it in, 0. Okay. I'm not used to how it skips. Like if I bring the mouse down, it automatically keeps going. I'm used to needing to let go and re-grab with the mouse. Okay, so let's refocus there. Scale on the X, bring it in, set to 0. Okay. And then lastly, nope, not what I wanted. Scale on the X. Oh, undo because I don't think I did that right. Scale on the X, bring it in. Okay, so now we are left with this, and the curve, I can do that with bevel, the bevel application and stuff he was talking about, modeling smooth and all that. Okay, so let's come out here, and that's the blade I've got so far. Let's see, looks pretty decent. I can see kind of an interesting how this bevel appears to not quite stay flush with it, where on this side it tends to stay more flush. So let's come back into here, wireframe. This is actually not going to be terribly difficult. These two can go move on the Y. You can come a bit closer. You guys can come a bit closer as well, but not quite so much. And then you can come almost to the edge, kind of like how it shows there. And then this one over here is very close. So there appears to almost be no bevel here at all. It's like a point instead of a bevel. Okay, so then U, GY, make you practically nothing. Grab that. Okay, so that's just looking at the way the shadows fall. It looks like there's no bevel here at all. There is still a bevel over here. And that is what I have here now. Yes, I am liking the looks of that. Okay. So, all right. So the rest of it is more of a texturing kind of thing rather than modeling. So that's really good as far as faces go. So let's see what I can do here. Trying to remember all of the texturing stuff that he did. Okay. Oh, wait. Okay, good. We still have all my faces there. Okay. Okay. So I wonder if I could just make these faces the color. I'm not even sure how to go about doing that. Faces. Can I just set their color with an emission? Yeah, I think I can. I remember he was. Yeah, we assigned. Yes, to the faces. We assigned the runes to the middle of the faces, so I could do an assigning here, except that was the runes. He didn't just do a color. I wonder if we could do just a color and not even need a texture. Let me give that a try. Okay, so what would that have been? Texture paint, shading, I don't even remember. Okay, so here we got that object. Oh dear. So all of these, all of those. Oh, no, not you. And actually you. And then you. I am not even sure what I'm doing at this point. I'm just trying to remember what I did in the tutorials. I'm trying to do as much as I can without needing a tutorial, kind of to ingrain it in my mind. So let's go object, relations, delta transform, collect and instancing, add, wait, can I not select any of these? Why not? Add UV map, RGB. Why can't I select any of these? Oh, can I not do that in edit mode? No. Uh-oh. I have completely missed something. Compositing? No, that's not. Sculpting, modeling? Layout. Compositing, scripting, animations. Shading, I thought was where... Oh, new. Add a new material. Do I need to do that? Ah, there we go. Okay. So this will call power for its power source. Base color, red. Oh, that's because everything has that. No, I want you to have... Oh, but I don't have a new texture. Okay, so undo. Okay, so I want new material that I'll call power. And that one, this one has material. This one has... No, I want you to be material too. But how did... he did something where we went in and assigned the texture to the face, and I need to figure out how to do that. Now, if I were to take, well, let's just set that as that, except I don't want that to be material. I want it to be, okay, you're material, so you, no, get rid of material. Power, material. Unlinked data black. Okay, whatever. I'm just going to have to leave that as is. White. Okay. So let's do this power red. I want that red. And if I drop an emissive texture, color, where was that emission one? Vector converter, emission output, shader, probably. Emission, there it is. If I drop this in there, will that... no. What happened there? Why is it purple? I don't think that should be purple. base color. Perhaps if I had this, oh, come on. Oh, I see. If I had emission behind here, emission into base color, U red, then BSDF into surface. No, why is it purple? I don't want it to be purple. Does it need a texture to work with? I'm trying to remember. We didn't really set anything with dang. We didn't just set colors. We set everything with the texture, so perhaps that is the issue. I think that can go there. Link you over to surface, base over to here, and then have a new texture, which I could probably do in a paint. Just a big red block. Let's see, just, okay, and that'll be my texture. Save, image color, Forgotten Kings, power red. Okay, now let's pull that in. Add texture as a image texture. Okay, open. I want the power red, and then this goes into base color. Okay, but it's still coming in purple. Why is it coming in purple? Let me get rid of you. Put you, oh, don't want to do that. You to surface, red. Okay, so that's good. That comes in at the red at least. Subsurface metallicity, there's not much metallicity on that. It's more of a plasticky looking material, so not very metallic. Okay, so let's just leave that at, say, a 0. Specular roughness, it's pretty rough, but let's just leave that at a 0.5 for now. I'm going to need to go visit the, oh, no, we don't want that to be a non-color because it is going into the color. I need the emission, color shader emission here. Except, why does that not work? I don't get why that doesn't work. Am I placing it in the wrong spot? Add shader emission here. Okay, so it's looking for, okay. So let me drop you in here. Emission out. No, how about emission there? Okay, so emission strength 500. Why is it suddenly white? Oh, it's so glowing, I guess. 1, 10. That doesn't seem to be what I want. No. That's not working. Okay, I'm going to have to pull up his tutorial videos just because... yeah, I need to see
part
how
2 of the Blender
we did
Fast Track series.
runes. Okay, that's all the texture mapping. I don't know if I need to do that. I don't think I've done a whole lot to it to need to do that. Okay, so where's the glowing part of the room? Shading tab. There we go. All right. Pommel shading tab. Let's try
So here's
this.
where we're going to take our UV'd model and we're going to apply these textures and shaders. So before we jump into the original scene, this is the final result that I have here. So I just want to break down what we're going to be working on. So you can see here we got like this grungy metallic shader. We have this rune effect here. We have this rune effect there. We have this different handle material. That's all the stuff that we're going to be focused on now. So to get started, we're going to take a look at the shading view tab right over here. So shading tab, what is shading tab? So before we move any further, what I'm going to do is just select my cylinder here, select my cube, hit X, and then delete. And then what I'm going to do is zoom in here and keyframe selected on my guard here. And then we're just going to look at this right here. And we're just going to talk about what we're looking at here. So this right here is what we call our shading network. That is what the shading tab is referring to right here. Again, this is a custom display that we have here all set up for this. We have our viewport right here. The only thing different about this is that we're in this material preview mode. So material preview mode is similar to like solid mode, right? We have rendered mode. The only difference is it's like an in-between. It's not gonna be our final render. It's not gonna be our preview, but it's gonna be a way for us to see our materials and our shaders and our textures in a quick and efficient way. So you can see we have our HDRI setup. So we talked a bit about those before. Really useful. And it just gives us a way to very clearly see our object. We have our object menu up here. All that's going to be the same. We have our properties over here, outliner, which we'll talk about in a bit. And then over here, we have two different things. This is going to be just a quick way for us to display our textures, which we're not going to really use here. I do use this, but we're going to skip over for now. And this is going to be our texture view as well. We're going to skip over this one as well. We're just going to mainly focus on this right here and this right here. Now, before we get into here, let's explain what we're looking at right here. So this is checkers right here, right? So we know what this is before. If we come down here to our material tab, we notice we have checkers right here. So that is the checkers material that we made before. And now we're seeing it over here, right? So this network right here is a node-based way to do exactly what we're doing down here in our material tab, right? So back when we were adding in our textures, when we, added in the UV checkers.jpg, whenever we, adjusted our Minecraft textures, this is all of that in a node-based form. So what is node-based? Basically what that means is instead of, working in this stacked view, we're going to work in this node view, which is basically these things right here. You can see how like they're all networked together, which we're going to talk about. So let's break down what we're seeing here in our shading view. Our shading node graph right here. So these are nodes, and nodes, if you've never worked with them before, they're a completely different world. So you have layer-based applications like Photoshop, and then we have our 3D viewport, which is basically a bunch of nodes that are actually just displayed in 3D form. And down here we have our shading view, which is comprised of nodes. So you can think of this down here as like kind of working in Photoshop, but it's no longer layers, but it's going to be networks of things. So we have our UV checkers.jpg, our principled BSDF, and our material output. What are these things? So this is our texture, this is our shader, and this is our material. What's the difference between these things? So when we built Minecraft, we talked about materials, we talked about textures, we talked about how we can assign a texture to a material, and that's going to give us our Minecraft. We can see all that. But we haven't really talked about this thing called a shader before. So textures are basically going to be that 2D image that we assign to our material. But our shader is actually how we control the properties like specularity. Is it metallic? Is it going to be a flat, more dusty type of material? Those are what shaders are going to do. And when we combine them, that's going to make up our material. So we have our texture right here, we have our shader right here, and our material output, you can really think of a material as the container itself. It's everything together. It's not just the shader, it's not just the textures, it's all of it together. The network itself makes the material. All right, so in the next chapter, we're going to talk about how to actually manipulate this stuff. So step one of getting our materials is to go from a flat shader to adding in our grunge maps and our metallic and all those properties, and then we're going to add in the runes last. So to start, we're going to focus on the blade, and we're going to create our first shader network. So after clicking new on a new shader, we get this principled BSDF. What is this principled BSDF? I'm going to expand this so we can see this a little bit more. So the main properties that we're going to want to get to know are things like base color, which is going to change the actual color. For now, since we're going to be using all the controls over here, we don't actually need the properties panel anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and move this over like this, just to get rid of that, to give us more space. So we have base color, which is going to control that. We have things like metallic, which is going to be another really important one. So as I click and drag this right here, we see, okay, now we're seeing some big changes up here. If I rotate around, we might not see much, but if we start playing around with roughness now, say if I go down on the roughness, something pretty low, we can see, okay, now we have a metallic material, right? It feels like metal. And since we have our roughness low now, what I can do is go down on the metallic. You can see, okay, this feels more diffused, something more closer to plastic, all the way up feels closer to metal, right? So roughness is the other really, really big important one. This is going to be basically the blurriness of the reflections, which we're going to be using a lot. And then down here, all the way we have emission, which is basically if we click this, go into our color wheel here and go up on the value right here, we can have, is this glowing or is it not? So that's how we make a glow material. So there's a lot of other really important ones. Specifically, next up would be bump. We're not going to be using a bump at all in the shader network. So we're just going to focus on those ones to get started. Now I'm going to go ahead and zoom in up here just so we can see this a little bit better. And the first thing we want to do is implement a grunge map. And a grunge map is going to help the metallic feel like it's worn down. So all these textures that we're going to be using are going to be located in the downloads below under stored textures. So what we're going to do is just copy this path, download those, copy this path wherever you have it on your computer. And what we're going to do is simply go to add, and then we're going to go to texture, and then we're going to go to image texture right there. And that's going to be the same image texture that we've been working with our Minecraft, with our checkered, all of that. We're going to click that, and then we're going to have our attached to our cursor, and we're going to click down just like that to drop it. I'm going to go ahead and open, then I'm going to go and find my textures. Then what I'm going to do is grab my scratches right here. And our scratch map is just going to look like this right here. Just a bunch of scratched metal surfaces. So I'm going to scratch it out JPEG, I'm going to hit open, and there we go. So now what I'm going to do here is just drag and drop the color into the roughness. Why am I doing the roughness? Because we want to break up the reflection. We want to break that up so it feels, so it's not so clean, right? But we have a problem right here. We have these scratches and everything, but it doesn't feel as broken up as it should be, right? So if I come down here in my color space and switch this over to non-color, we're going to see this magical thing happen, which is all of a sudden, this thing feels much, much more believable. We see all these details, what's going on here. So by default, this color space is set to RGB, and we switch over to non-color. Why? Basically, long story short, there's a really long, complicated explanation on color space and all that. The reason for this that I'm going to give you right now is just simply whenever we have a color here, if it goes into base color, we just want to leave these to be default sRGB. And whenever we have a color going into anything else, we want to switch this over to non-color. Again, there's a super complicated reason I'm going to skip over on why that is, but long story short, non-color for non-color slots, and then for color up here, if you're putting down the base color, then you want to stick it on sRGB. So this is looking pretty good. We have a couple more nodes that we want to get to. Specifically, if we want to scale these scratches up and down, that's going to be called tiling. So we're going to be calling this tiling or texture. The nodes we need is for our mapping. So we're going to add, we're going to go to vector, and we're going to come down here to mapping. So what is this mapping node? Basically what this does is I'm going to put this vector into vector. What this does is basically controls how many times we're going to see this. But you notice as soon as we plug that in, it becomes broken. It becomes very, we don't see our texture anymore. This is because the mapping node needs to communicate with our UVs. The same UVs we're working with in our UV editing tab. So what we need to do here is go to add, we'll go to input, and then we'll go to UV map. We're going to click this down, and we'll drag drop UVs into vector. So now we got our network all hooked up. So let's break down what we're seeing here. So basically the way it's working is we have an input from our UVs. So basically our object right here is being sent into our network right here to bring in, to basically import our UVs. And then that's going to go through our mapping. And our mapping is going to control how big these, how essentially scalable the UVs are. So if we do something like this, or we do something like 2 and 2, down here in the scale, you see it becomes smaller, right? And then we have that controlling our texture. And then we have that going into our principled BSDF, which is our shader, which is going to control things like reflectivity and whatnot. And then we're setting that into our material output. And that's going to be our very first shader network. So in the next chapter, we'll start customizing this for the rest of our shaders. So we're gonna start duplicating our blade shader, and we're gonna make the guard and the handle and the pommel shaders. So I'm gonna go ahead and select my guard up here, and then what I'm gonna do here is assign the blade shader to this. I'm not gonna manipulate this at all though, because I'm gonna duplicate this now. So I'm gonna hit that little duplication button right here. And then you notice our text right here says blade.001. That's how we know it's been duplicated. So I'm just gonna change this over to guard. And all we have to do here is simply change the base color. So I'm gonna go ahead and adjust this color right here.
Okay, so while doing that, I was noticing that I am going to need to go into the UV editing, just because I was noticing it doesn't look great. The modeling wraps around the texturing wraps with the blade curves, and it's not really what we're wanting. Okay, so let's see if I can figure out what we were doing here. So we want to go into here. Is it edit mode? Should we be in edit mode? Yes. Maybe. Yes. We should. Oh, there we go. Okay. So there was UV, Smart UV project. Let's see what happens. Okay, that's okay. I'm kind of okay with that. I would rather it be kind of more spaced out a bit. Maybe I think I did. I grabbed the wrong texture. That's not the one that, grunge, scratch, close black marble background. Is that the one that yes, that's the one that I was wanting. Okay, so let me come back over here into, where was that? Texture, no. Texture paint, rendering, compositing. Where did it go? Layout, texture, shading. Okay, so I want to be not the grunge scratch, that's just too scratchy. I went with the close-up marble. There we go. Okay, see, that's much better. So do I want it in that, or do I want to rotate? Let's give it a try. All right, let me refocus on that. I do not see anything at all. So that was a bad change. Let's go 90 here. No. 0, 90. Okay, what do we think? Is that a better way to go? Kind of. I might be able to move that around to get a better look. But I'm okay with that. Maybe I can find a different thing with a different, when I move it around a bit. So, all right, come out of that. Let's go into the UV editing, and that looks much better already because it's I did the UV Smart UV project, and so yeah, that really straightened it all out. Hang on, I got a bug in here. Missed. Okay, so let's grab all of that, and can I move that? And that'll get me a different texture. Yes, okay. So if we go over here, we got a lot of crossway. Yeah, see, that's going across the blade, and that's okay. But I think I would rather it be, oh, I see. Okay, so let's try a rotation. There we go. All right, so let's put that roughly in line with the, with that, and then kind of line that up like that. There we go. Okay, except it's not quite seeing what I'm wanting to see. Long, okay. So there we go. Now you can see I'm kind of getting it laid along the blade. Okay, so this is the hilt down here. And yeah, it just mirrors if you keep going off of it. So I kind of want something more like this. Okay, not quite so deep. Where is, oh, that's way up at the hilt. Okay, I see. So we got a deep, long, maybe not quite so much of that. And then the other side would be seeing that over there. So if I were to flip this around, I can see that big long scratch down that now. See? Okay. Yeah, actually, I'm liking the looks of that. How it is right there. Some scratching, but not a whole lot. That might be better. I think that'd be a bit better. Yeah, let's go with that one, and we'll see how that works, okay? Shading. Okay, see, that's looking better. Looking like a metal. Okay, let's pop this back over here. Bring you back and keep going.
Make this something like a deeper brown. And I'm just going to control the saturation a little bit and darken that value. So these are going to be the final results. We'll have those in the screenshots. And then from here, you see, okay, our scale is going to be off, right? The scratches on here are going to be much smaller than what we have here. So let's go ahead and adjust those. If we go over to our mapping over here, if we set this in something like 0.5 and 0.5, so that's, X, Y for the texture, all of a sudden, then it becomes smaller, and that's going to be much, much more believable. So we'll go ahead and assign the same shader to these up here. So we're going to select our palm mill, select our shader rate, our material assignment here, and we'll choose guard. And then we'll do the same thing for the tip of the palm mill. So we're going to select that, select guard. And there we go. Now we need to adjust this for our handle. So we're going to select that, and go ahead and select our blade for that again. And then what we'll do is go ahead and duplicate this again. And we'll just go ahead and call this handle. So there's a couple different properties that we want to adjust here. Currently, this is metallic. We don't really want this. We want this to be some sort of material that you can grip. You can think of this as rubber. If it's going to be fabric, because we're not going to get that specific with this. We can get
All right. So while I'm at it, I might as well get a leather wrap texture for the pommel, for the grip, whatever you want to call it. I can never keep those things straight. So I want that to be. This is using power, but I don't want that one. I want the whole thing to be like a leather grip. So let me see if I can find a leather grip texture block blender. Okay. Leather wrap. Wrap handle with modifiers. That might work, except I want a texture. Texture. Make a leather wrap in how to create leather 3D textures. Okay, except I gotta turn stuff on. Temporarily allow all. Oh, okay. Yeah, here we go. Leather 01. That one may work. I would be... Oh, I remember this site. He showed this site in one of his videos there. I would want something more like a weave. Except... no. I want it to be a wrap, not a weave. So where's your search function? Leather wrap. Hang on, it might help if I spelled leather right. Wrap. That may work. That could work right there. With purchase 90, no, 33 for that image. Not going to be doing that right now. Leather wrap. Sorry, nothing matched the terms. Okay. And so these are all... All right. Let's change my search term. Blender texture leather wrap. How to create. I don't want to create a classic leather wrap. So I'm going to do it with this simple, fast trick, extracting and extruding faces. See, that's exactly what I don't want to do. I want leather material for cycles. Blend, swap. Leather material. So that's just the texture. But I want a... Yeah, not quite that. I'm not sure. Okay. So that's good, except I can't really make that a wrap. This tiling preview loses the row varies version. Non-rough. So I'm not finding anything right off the bat for what I would be looking for. Nope, not seeing. So I am not sure at all how to make that happen. Blender tutorial. Well, let's check it out and see what happens.
Hey, I'm Joey, and I'm one of the...
It's Chris with a new quick tip video for Blender. Today I show you how to create such a nice leather wrap in only some minutes. It's very fast and easy and dirty, but it looks nice. So let's see how this works. Okay, here we have the sword. This is how it looks like. Here, solid no look depth, and you see this is my nice sword. So
Oh, that
let's
is
see
very nice,
how
yes.
we can make a wrap around this grip here. So the first, we will look how this grip is look like, how the meshes look like. So it's basically a cylinder, and what I do now is I will take the meshes or the faces here and will make a dirty or fast wrap. So this works in this way. You are going here into the face selection mode, and then wait, I will shortcut. So okay, so you can see my keyboard here, my key shortcuts. So okay, you go here and you select all this loops here. Okay, I do it manually. You can do it by selecting the edges and then the rings here. So I selected the rings here, and what I do now is I will duplicate them. To do this, I use a shortcut. You can do it by using the menu, but I do it by a shortcut. It's Shift D, and you duplicate them. But you don't move them somewhere. You keep them at the position. So you press the right mouse button, and the duplication, the copy is now here. So the problem is the copy is inside my mesh. So I want to have a new, a separate mesh of the copy. So what I do is I press P to separate my selection. So now the selection is separated, but I'm still inside my grip in my mesh. So I press top, and now I'm outside the grip. And now I can click here on my new copy here on the grip, and can use it. So I will give it a new name here in my object information. It's sword leather or grip leather. Great. So the next one I do now is I will give it a short material. To do this, here it is, it's selected. At the moment it's still the gold. So what I do now, I will create a new material based on my gold, and I will tell it or say it's leather. So the names are leather, and I will change the color, let's say here, and I will reduce the metallic effect and give it more roughness, like 0.8 for example. Now it looks a bit like leather. Okay, so great. Now we are working here still or completely in the leather object in this one. So I go back to the isolate mode. To do this, you go on your numpad and can press the divide button here, the divide sign, to go into the isolate mode. Great. Now I go into the edit mode, and I will go to edges and will dissolve the edges, because I will make a small trick to do this wrap. So I take all these edges here and delete and dissolve them. So now you have a new cylinder back. But the advantage is you have the right shape for your grip later. So the next is the actual trick to do our short wrap. I will press or use the knife tool here, the knife tool. With the knife tool, you can cut through an object. The problem is to cut just